Right, let's get cracking and start taking things apart. So first of all, start with the seat post. Let's get that off. So yeah, undo that. Off that comes, nice and easy. Put that to one side. Also the clamp, because you don't want to lose that as well. What I tend to do, I tend to just leave that on my bike. Don't tighten that up again because it's nothing to tighten against and you'll crack your frame. So just leave that on there. If it is very loose, a bit more of your insulating tape and just wrap that round on there. The next port of call is your handlebars. So as you're lying it in your bike box, if you've not got the ones where you can just drop it straight in, you're going to need to move these to one side. The way I often do it, or way I'd recommend it to do, rather than actually worrying about your headset, because you might be worried about actually putting that back together again when you get there, is I actually just take it off at the end of the stem. So yeah, it's just a case of undo the 4 bolts, and then you can just lower your handlebars down. So we'll just let's just get those out for you. Hi, so I've had a request on putting your bike in and out of a bike box safely and making sure, or how to check that you've reassembled your bike correctly at the other end. So it'll give you a bit of confidence that when you head out on the road, or wherever you've been, or wherever you're going to, should I say, your bike's in a safe condition to ride. So there's an array of different bike boxes out there. You might be just using it to travel locally, or you may be going on an airplane. So there's different types of bike boxes. There's some very good ones out there now where there's actually a frame built into the base of the bike box, and all you actually do is secure your fork and your rear stay on the frame with your skewer. Normal bike boxes, what you're looking at is you're going to need to actually take your handlebars off of your bike, take your wheels off, deflate the tyres obviously if you're travelling on an aeroplane, and obviously your seat. So we need to take these off. But before we start, there's one key element. What we need is a bit of insulating tape. Can't stress this, it makes things so much simpler. All you need to do before you start undoing or changing anything on your bike setup is mark the height of your seat, which is very simple. You just wrap a bit of insulating tape around your seat post where it enters into your frame. That way when you get to So the handlebars are now away from the bike and those can just hang down on the cables there. What I would do is then the front of your stem, I would put that back in and screw that in. There's no point just packing these away and putting them in a bag. I'm a firm believer that whilst you're undoing something, you might as well just pop those screws back in place. There's no doubt then when you come in to reassemble your bike which screws go where. So yeah, very simple thing, but you're not gonna. It's just going to reduce the issues of which bolt goes where at the end of the day. You know, it could be five days or so before you actually put the bike back together again, for example. One thing to consider if you do have Di2s is, as you're removing your seat post, what I would do is I would disconnect your battery, because quite simply, if you're out on the it's in its bag, sorry, and you're getting the levers touched, it may drain your battery. So I would always just disconnect the battery as a precaution. That way you're not going to damage or drain your battery while it's in transit. So yeah, just one point to consider if you've got Di2s. So we're getting to the point now where we need to be taking the bike down and putting it into the bike box, but before we do that we need to obviously remove the pedals. Some bike boxes you don't have to, it depends again on which ones you do, but if it's one of the more narrow ones you will need to take your pedals off. And again, I've covered that in a previous video, but you undo your pedals to the back of the bike, okay? So very simple, but yeah, pedals off and then wheels off. Always remember as well, if you're flying, to deflate the tyres as well. That'll stop with the difference in air pressure, your tyres going pop in the air. So yeah, very important, but deflate your tyres before you pack them. So unfortunately I haven't got a bike box to just demonstrate popping it in, but the main critical point here is most bike boxes now have cutouts in them for where the bike actually fits and straps to secure it in place. So sit your bike in, strap it down into the areas, and you need to take particular notice of your derailleur. This is the weakest point in travelling on your bike, because obviously your rear mech is actually designed to brake rather than your frame. So if this takes a knock, it can really scupper your plans of a nice holiday. So yeah, really need to protect this. A lot of the bike boxes have cutouts and foam, like a dense polystyrene protection around these. If you don't have that, you need to be either using some pipe lagging or really wrapping this to prevent it from moving. The alternative, if you're really unsure, is to actually undo this and take that off and just leave it on the chain. And then what I would do, again with the insulator, I would tie this up or tape this up to your frame. Just hold it in place to stop any movement in there. So again, once it's in the bike box, you just need to look over it, put pipe lagging around it, blankets, old t-shirts, anywhere where the frame is touching itself or anything like that. You want to avoid that, or just pack it out so it's covered without any, so you're not going to scratch your frame. Main point again is your drivetrain. So your chain, once it's packed, laying down on here, I would just take the chain and tie that so it's not going to start slapping around. And again, I can't stress it enough, your rear derailleur, you've got to protect that. So either remove it and just leave it loose and tape it up onto your frame, onto your rear stay, or you can just leave it in place if your bike box has the appropriate cutouts to protect it. So we're on the rebuild now, so we're at your destination, and the first thing to do is get your bike back on its wheels. Is that way it's just much easier to handle and move around, because you're not going to have a bike stand where you go. So get your wheels on, get those inflated and pop those back on your bike. That's the first thing to do. There you've got your platform to then start building the rest of your bike. So all it is then your seat post, again with your taped marker. And that's just, we just slide that in, down to the marker, perfect. And then the handlebars, so we just need to undo these bolts, pop the handlebars back on and tighten those up to the correct torque using our prefixed torque key. So you've got your bike out of the bike box, you've put it back together. Now you just want to check it over to make sure you're going to have no mishaps and you've put it back together correctly, and it'll just give you a sense of confidence that you know you've put it back together. And to do this, it's called, or what we call, an M check. Very simple procedure, but the letter M comes from, or the way it's called an M check is simple. If you follow the line of a frame, so you come up the frame, down the frame, up the frame, down the frame, it's a letter M. And at each point of that letter M, there are key points that you just need to check. So it's just a way to methodically work through a bike check. Simple. So let's start the check on your bike to make sure it is safe to run. I've told you the principle of the M check and where that's come from, and we'll just run through that right away now. So it doesn't matter which side of the M you start on, but just follow it in a methodical manner. So we're going to start the front end, just because I always like to do that. So first and foremost is your quick release nice and tight. Yes, okay, so we start there. So now we're checking this area, so check your wheel. Is it spinning freely? Yes. How are the spokes? Are they all tensioned? All feeling fine? Yes. Is the wheel wobbling? Is the bearing fine in there? So just grab your wheel, give it a shake, it should feel nice and firm. So we're happy the wheel is fine, there's no blisters on the tyres, the tyre isn't worn, so check the tyre. Any cuts, any blisters, anything worn on there? Nope. So we're happy the tyre's in good condition, the wheel is in condition, it isn't buckled, and it is fastened to the bike with your quick release suitably tight. So now we walk up the frame, checking the frame for scratches or cracks. Mainly cracks in the frame or anything like that which may be detrimental to the structure of the bike. Nothing there. And we're up to the front brake. So a nice simple test. Front brake on and bring the bike. So it should be able to stop you. Yeah. Is the brake on? Yes. Making sure the quick release is down. At the moment mine is off, so I just pop that on. So I know now my front brake is working fine. Spin the wheel. Is it releasing? Yes, it is. Okay, so front brake is fine. And you've also checked with that. Okay. Moving further up the frame here to the handlebars, so the headset. Apply the front brake and just rock the bike forward. You should be able to see if there's any play in that frame. As you've not touched that in your packing because you undid it just from your handlebars, if it's been fine when you packed it, you shouldn't really need to adjust that. Okay? Run around to the front of your bike, tie it between your legs, grab hold of the handlebars and just give it a shake. Yep, your headset is on there fine. Give it a bounce, any rattling on that front end, there's nothing there. Okay? So we're at the top section there again. We now move down the frame, so again checking for any form of damage, cracks, scuffs, anything that might cause you any concern. So now we're down to the bottom of the M here. So first and foremost, just check, is everything spinning around? Yes, it is. Okay. Pick your wheel up and spin it the other way. Is it working? Yes, it is. Check the pedals, are they spinning freely? Now you've attached them, are they on tight? Yes they are, that's fine. Okay. This point here now we can check the front derailleur. So, change gear, is that moving? Yes it is. Moving up the frame, up the centre of the M, again checking the frame for any damage. Check the crossbar, any damage on there? No, we're not. Okay, so we're at the seat, so grab hold of the seat, give it a good pull, give it a twist, see if that's tight, not loose, no. Okay, that's in firm as well, so your seat's good. We then walk down, back down the frame to your rear brake. So let's check the rear brake. Quick release is off. There we go. And then we just need to check the brake, is that working? So again, brake on, and it should lock up. Yes it is, so there we go. Yeah. So this isn't spinning, so as we move further down now to the bottom, we're going to have a look at all of this area now. So first and foremost, let's start with the wheel. Is the wheel spinning? No, it isn't. Quite often this is simply because the bike has not been set in the dropouts correctly. So just give it a bit of a wobble, pop that up and tighten it up. There we go. There we go, much better. So there you see, nice little check there. Has solved one problem. We now check tension of the spokes. All good, no problems in the spokes. Check the rim, the braking surface. Is it scored? Is it worn? Any cracks or damage to the tyre and to the wheel itself. Again, it's just a check to make sure everything is ready for you to ride. So yeah, you're happy with the wheel itself, is fine. The brakes are now working, you've checked that, and your quick release is nice and tight, and it is located in the dropouts correctly. We now need to check the rear. So again, just pick your bike up, start to pedal, and you should be able to now change gear as you would normally do. Yep. So there we go, your bike has now been pretty much... So you've done the M check now, you can be confident that you've covered all the main key aspects and interfaces of your bike to make sure it's safe for you to ride. So yeah, well worth doing, and it just gives you that added security and that knowledge that yeah, that when you jump on your bike you're going to be safe. The alternative to this is, well, it's quite simple really. Sack all that off, come to Cycle Retreats because we do all this for you.